Welcome back to another episode of the Spin Cycle podcast. This week has been a doozy. Lots to talk about, from the Victoria's Secret fashion show to the tragic death of Liam Payne, and then some reality TV nuggets that you may have missed. So strap in. First, I want to talk about Liam Payne's tragic death that took place this week on Wednesday in Buenos Aires, Argentina. It is a really, really sad situation, and it does appear that it is potentially suicide. So like I said, this took place on Wednesday of this past week, where Liam Payne, who, if you don't know, he was a member of One Direction, and he died after falling from the third floor of a hotel in Buenos Aires, Argentina, according to local police. He was 31 and leaves behind a 7-year-old son named Bear, whom he shares with a fellow performing artist. Police ended up discovering his body when they responded to a call from the hotel he was staying at, who had reported somebody being drunk and disorderly. According to a translated transcript of the call, the worker said that Liam was intoxicated and presumed he was under the influence of alcohol and drugs, insisting that somebody needed to come urgently. And that phone call was made at about 5 p.m. local time, and his death took place about 10 minutes later. He seemed to be in Argentina just on vacation. He was there for a couple of weeks, at least since the beginning of the month, and attended Niall, his former bandmate, Niall's concert on October 2nd at Movie Star Arena in the same city with his girlfriend Kate Cassidy. And Kate had just returned to the States only a couple days prior to his tragic death. So the fame of One Direction really took a toll on Liam. He's talked about this at length many times before. He has been quoted telling Men's Health Australia that he often drank a lot before going on stage to deal with the stress. He said, quote, "When you're doing hundreds and hundreds of concerts and it's the same 22 songs at the same time every single day, even if you're not happy, you've got to go out there." He said it's almost like putting the Disney costume on before you step up on stage. And underneath the Disney costume, I was pissed drunk quite a lot of the time because there was no other way to get your head around what was going on. I mean, it was fun. We had an absolute blast, but there were certain parts of it that just got a little bit toxic. I want to take a moment to talk about what I like to call mindful media consumption. I've seen a lot of bullshit, quite frankly, surrounding this news. First of all, TMZ broke the news, and they not only marked it as an exclusive, as though they did some kind of hard journalism there, but anyway, in addition to that, they also posted crime scene images of parts of Liam's body. It was not gruesome, it was not gory. By just the images, you couldn't necessarily tell, but they literally put a disclaimer, a caption on it that said that TMZ had obtained crime scene images and that they knew it was him based on his distinctive tattoos. But truth be told, they did not need to do that to prove that it was him. Number one, he had been documenting his vacation plenty throughout his stay, so it was already out there that he was staying at that hotel. It was already it was known that it was him. You know what I mean? They didn't need to prove to the public that they had the right person. That was just very crass and disrespectful. And I actually had posted on the Spin Cycle's Instagram a screenshot from the TMZ article, not that part, but just the opening statement, basically talking about the facts of his death, how he was found, and just the nature of it, and when it happened, of course. But I actually had done that without even finishing reading the article, which is totally on me and stupid. And I definitely learned my lesson from that. I immediately took down the post and posted something different, and called out TMZ's tactics in that post. When celebrity deaths happen, or not even necessarily deaths, I mean, think about what happened to Britney Spears. The media just pounces and exploits people's hardships and struggles for clicks and views and likes and shares, and it's just not worth it. I would recommend people who are maybe you're a podcast listener, maybe you're just a social media scroller, you're not somebody who consumes a lot of traditional media. If that's the case, I really implore you to be really vigilant about the kind of media you're consuming and the journalistic standards of the outlets that you're engaging with. And also just be mindful about like what you post, what you share. I've seen a lot of I don't know, like I know that it's to like honor kind of like the end of, I mean, I want to say the end of an era, but it's really not, because One Direction has been broken up for like 10 years, so I don't fully understand. But I keep seeing this trend on TikTok of people posting like the girl who heard the news, and then you like, and it's like a selfie, and then you swipe, and then it's like, but the girl who's processing it, and then it's like younger them at a One Direction concert. And I just kind of feel like that's like centering yourself in a situation that has nothing to do with you. It's kind of like when national disasters or terroristic attacks happen in foreign places, and people will like post vacation pictures of themselves there and being like praying for Paris. It's giving that. And I just, I don't know. Given the circumstances, obviously, like he clearly had a lot going on in his life. Like, you know, maybe he wasn't a great partner. Maybe he was on a lot of drugs. Does it really matter? Like, a whole family lost their son and brother, and like all of the One Direction guys have to be mourning. So, I just want to use this tiny platform I have to encourage the people who listen to me, follow me, anything like that, to just like put your humanity above your curiosity and your like desire to share information. So that's my spiel. And all that to say, rest in peace to Liam Payne. I hope that he's now free and that he's at peace. On to some lighter news. The Victoria's Secret fashion show returned for the first time in 6 years this week, and brought back iconic OGs, including Adriana Lima, Alessandra Ambrosio, Bahati Prinsloo, and none other than Tyra Banks, who closed out the show. Other notable supermodels included Irina Shayk, who is Bradley Cooper's baby mama and briefly dated, I think, Leonardo DiCaprio, somebody like that. Ashley Graham also walked the runway, marking the first plus-size model to be included in the Victoria's Secret fashion show. And then there were also 2 trans women who walked in the show, which is another groundbreaking change. And their names are Alex Consani. By the way, she's so funny. Definitely follow her on Instagram. She's so fun. And then Valentino Sampaio. So despite those groundbreaking changes, the show and the glam were kind of underwhelming. There was like no volume in their hair, which killed me, because like they used to have like all the blowouts, the barrel curls, you know, like very much like Sabrina Carpenter hair. And this was way more like Charlie XCX Lord hair that was just kind of like not done. Like, it was like long and shiny, but I just like wanted some volume and some bounce like as they walked down the runway. So that was like my one grievance. The outfits were also like not super camp, so people missed that piece of it. But I also think that was kind of just like a moment in time when like Katy Perry was all the rage, and like we were really like into the like random like hamburgers and sharks and lollipops and stuff. Like I think that was just like a sign of the time. That's not necessarily my grievance, but that's something that I've seen people point out online. And one thing that I did notice is that the stage was a little bit boring. It was just kind of like a long ass runway with no decor or like anything crazy. It was just like fuchsia lights, and that's it. So I felt like it was kind of, I hate to use this word, but I feel like it was a little bit low budget for what we're used to. But I mean, I guess returning for the first time after a 6-year hiatus, you kind of have to be conservative about it. That just wouldn't have been like my brand strategy, but who am I? So let's talk about what it did for the brand. So according to the Instagram account Data But Make It Fashion, which is one of my favorite Instagram accounts, highly recommend it, interest in Victoria's Secret increased by 13% immediately after the show. But overall, not sure if that's really enough for Victoria's Secret. If you recall, they rebranded in 2021, but that rebrand didn't move the needle much. And then in 2023, their net sales were around 6.2 billion, which was a small decrease from 2022. So they've just been kind of, their sales have been dwindling over the last 4 years. And the first quarter net sales for this year, 2024, were 1.359 billion, which is a 3% decrease from the first quarter of 2023. So just like steadily losing interest in the brand. But the forecasts for the net sales of this year are, they're coming out to about 6 billion, which is a low single digit decrease from 2023. But it's possible that the return of the fashion show and the 13% increase in interest in the brand might translate to higher sales. So if you're a Victoria's Secret fan, show them some love, buy some undies. Okay, so we're gonna hop over to Bravo World. I usually try to keep Bravo news to kind of like its own episode. However, certain things require urgent updates. And the most important Bravo update in this episode is that Rachel Leviss is ending her podcast. So on her most recent episode of Rachel Goes Rogue, she said, quote, "I've decided to walk away from continuing the podcast. I've made the decision to take both feet out of the Vanderpump Rules universe." She also mentioned that she has a boyfriend, so that's good for everybody with a man. So if for some reason you don't recall or you weren't, engrossed in Sandoval almost 2 years ago now, Rachel, previously known as Raquel, was the other woman in the Sandoval's fallout. So she was on Vanderpump Rules alongside Tom Sandoval and Ariana Madix, and was a really good friend of theirs, and ended up having a 7-month affair with Tom Sandoval, which Ariana found out at a performance of Tom Sandoval's terrible cover band, Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras. That was like March 1st of 2023. And so here we are, like a million years later, it feels like. And ever since then, she's been talking nonstop about Vanderpump Rules. She did go away for about 90 days to an inpatient treatment facility. But when she came out, she started a podcast and started just like commenting on the season, commenting on other people's podcasts, just having on mental health experts and those sorts of things to kind of like, I don't want to say like that she's using the mental health experts to try and make herself look like more of a victim than a villain, but that is what I think. So I don't know. Sorry, Rachel. But yeah, so, and that's the other thing. When she came out of her treatment facility, she asked people to call her by her real name, her birth name, which is Rachel. She mentioned, I think on episodes of Vanderpump Rules, if I'm not mistaken, that she started going by Raquel when she was in like 3rd grade, and there were several other Rachels in her class, and she wanted to feel special, which says a lot about her, in my opinion. So the plot thickens. This year on February 29th, Leap Day, Rachel sues both Tom Sandoval and Ariana Madix for revenge porn, eavesdropping, invasion of privacy, and infliction of emotional distress. In the complaint filed in LA, she asked for all copies of the video to be deleted and scrubbed. However, according to Ariana, it's already been scrubbed, and she never sent it to anybody other than Rachel herself. Ariana's claim is that when she saw the video on Tom's phone, because she says she just had a feeling she needed to check it, and she had it during his show, she opened up to his like photos and found this video, and it's essentially a video of them on FaceTime, so you do the math. She alleges that she sent that video to herself and then sent it to Rachel saying, "You're dead to me." And screenshots of that conversation have come out, and the video has even been deleted from that like correspondence, like from the messages. Ariana claims that she immediately deleted the video and did not send it or show it to anyone else. However, here we are with a lawsuit. So Rachel's asking for all the copies of the video to be deleted and scrubbed, and then seeking financial payments and her attorney's fees covered. So yeah. she's claiming that Ariana distributed the video to other people, including Vanderpump Rules cast and production members. However, nobody has come forward saying that they've seen it or that they, received it or anything like that. She actually, within the lawsuit, says herself that the people that have seen it are unknown to her. So I just don't know where she's getting this. The suit says, quote, Leviss had suffered grave emotional, psychological, financial, and reputational harm as a result of Maddox's distribution, dissemination, and publicization of the illicit videos, which, again, I fundamentally disagree with, because I don't believe that she has suffered in a financial, professional, etc. way. Like, I'm not going to comment on her distress or emotions or anything like that, but from the standpoint of being on the show, she was asked back. She chose not to go back. So I don't understand why she is blaming them on why she has lost funds from this. And again, there was no distribution, dissemination, or publicization of the video. Also, the suit says videos plural, but as far as I know, there's only one video. The lawsuit also claims that Ariana was aware of the affair at the time that it was happening, quote, scolding them for being handsy in public, admonishing them to save the story for season 11, which is crazy because she didn't come back for season 11. And then she also points the finger at Maddox when it comes to the information about the video getting out to the public, which I don't know how that came about, but whatever. And then her attorneys are the same attorneys that repped Bethany Frankel in her lawsuit against Bravo, her like alleged mistreatment of cast members, that whole thing. I don't even want to get into that. I hate Bethany so much that I will not sound likable on this microphone if I start talking about her. So all that takes place February 29th, literally the day before, and what could be considered the day of the anniversary of the video being discovered. So Ariana and Sandoval have both separately, objected to the suit. Tom filed a motion requesting this court strike portions of the lawsuit and the compensatory, I can't say that word, and the monetary damages she's requesting. And then even like in Tom's response, he calls out the fact that she's trying to demonize and villainize Ariana, who's actually the victim in the situation. His lawyers say Leviss's lawsuit is a thinly veiled attempt to extend her fame and to rebrand herself as the victim instead of the other woman, while denigrating her former friend Maddox as a scorned woman and her former paramour Sandoval as predatory. So that response takes place in April of this year, about 2 months later. And then about a week after that, Ariana filed a sworn declaration to the court saying she never shared the intimate video with anyone besides Raquel herself, which I mentioned earlier, and asked to be dismissed from the suit. She claimed that she sent snippets of the video she recorded on her own phone to Leviss alongside a text message saying, "You're dead to me," which is what I just mentioned. And then Sandoval allegedly grabbed her phone out of her hand and deleted the video off Ariana's phone himself. So then about a month later, late May, Sandoval tries to have some of the claims removed, including eavesdropping and invasion of privacy. It is not successful. He's basically trying to say that he, quote, merely saved private copies of the videos that Leviss had filmed and shared with him, end quote. But the Superior Court judge overruled the action and decided to uphold the claims on him. And then after that, so on July 16th, Sandoval then sues Ariana for invasion of privacy, claiming that she didn't have permission to record the video on her own phone, and he's asking for punitive damages because he claimed she acted with, quote, willful and conscious disregard of his rights. Then Ariana's attorney hits back and is like, this is another attempt to further shirk responsibility for his actions, and says, quote, it is abhorrent that Tom Sandoval continues to torment Ms. Maddox after subjecting her to months of emotional welfare, end quote. She also brings up that he was branded the most hated man in America by the New York Times, and says, quote, he has clearly learned nothing and believes it is necessary to continue torturing Ms. Maddox in a vain effort to rehabilitate elevate his image. Ms. Maddox is confident that a jury will see through his latest ploy and dismiss his frivolous claims. He did end up dropping that. He claimed in the season 11 reunion that he didn't realize that that he was suing her. He just like listened to his lawyers and then fired his lawyers, I guess. So 2 days later, he shared a written statement on Instagram saying he was removing the complaint and fired one of his lawyers, Matthew Garagos, who is his brother, by the way. These Garagos, whatever guys. Matthew is Tom's lawyer and his brother represents Rachel. Isn't that insane? His name is Mark Garagos. So he shared something on Instagram that said, late Tuesday afternoon, my attorney, Matt Garagos, whose advice I trusted, called me about the cross complaint and the lawsuit against myself and Ariana. He assured me that the action was customary and strictly preventative in these types of lawsuits and urged me to agree to it. The words new lawsuit and suing were not articulated to me. I should have done more of my due diligence on the matter. Upon realizing what this action actually means, I've removed Matt from my legal team. I am no way suing Ariana. The action against Ariana brought on by my behalf is being removed. I hold no ill will or vindictiveness toward Ariana. Now, by removing the cross complaint and the attorney who recommended it, I hope to get through this case quickly so that Ariana and I can both finally move on, in all caps, with our lives. So that was wild. And so kind of on the heels of this and everybody being sued and whatnot, and Ariana like not wanting to have any sort of conversation with Sandoval, which I agree with, the show is like on an indefinite hiatus, and I kind of think that it's toast. I think it's canned. But Jax Taylor is advocating to be included on a finale season, like a farewell season, and then like moving everybody over to the Valley. So who knows what's actually going to happen there? I really have no idea. In other news in the VPR universe, Katie Maloney is dating a new man from an emo band, Sleeping with Sirens. His name is Nick Martin, and he's 41. He's also recently divorced, and she said on her podcast that he's the most wonderful person she's ever met, who makes her feel really special and happy. And shortly after she announced this on the podcast, fans kind of went back in her Instagram and noticed that the two of them had been leaving flirty comments on each other's Instagram posts over the last few weeks. And she posted a group photo with him at Something About Her on October 3rd. So good for Katie. Love to see that. And Ariana and her man seem to still be going strong. And she is seemingly taking a little bit of time off after like a really busy summer and fall with her hosting Love Island USA, which was in Fiji this year, 2 runs on Broadway as Roxy Hart in Chicago, and her millions of brand deals, of course. So congrats to the girls of Something About Her. If you haven't checked out their sandwich shop, I highly encourage you to do so. I haven't. I was supposed to go to the opening when I was in LA in the spring, but the lines were like down the block, like from Something About Her all the way to Sir. And I was like, I'm not waiting 3 hours for a sandwich. God bless. But I want to hear about it, and I don't know anybody who's tried it yet. So please, LA listeners, I encourage you to go try it and tag me in your Instagram story about it. That's all I've got for you today, guys. I am really enjoying making this podcast this season. I don't know if it's just that I have this fancy new office that my husband traded spaces with me for, or if it's this awesome new microphone I have, or if I just have a little bit more time this fall than usual. But I am really enjoying it. So I hope that you all are too. Tune back in next week for another deep dive episode. You're going to love it. Love you so much. See you next week. Bye.